Welcome. I'm joined today by Astghik Melkonyan, who was on the list for the Citizens' Choice Party. The party is relatively new to the Armenian political scene and garnered just under 4,000 votes in the 2021 parliamentary elections. So let's find out more about this new party. So Astghik, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for your invitation.
So before we get into the platform of the Citizens' Choice Party, many say the origins of the party are connected with the Mashtots Park movement. Can you explain what are the origins of the party? How did the party start?
Well, Mashtots movement was one of the movements, and after that there were many movements, social, environmental, many others, and the origins of the party come from that movement. Also from NGO sector. Actually, NGO sector and civil society were the two sectors that brought change or tried to bring change before 2018 revolution. And after the revolution, when we saw a chance, we started to believe in elections, we decided to form a political party and be involved in formal politics.
Okay, and can you explain what is the general platform now of the Citizens' Choice Party? What is its general ideology, and for example, what would a Citizens' Choice government in Armenia look like?
Since Armenia's independence, in general, the resources were centralized in hand of a group of people who were involved in politics or were sponsored by people who were in politics. And these centralized resources brought to a polarized society where we have around 40% of poverty. And in a country where you have as a high level of poverty, there is probably nothing more desired or required than the social justice. And as to reach to social justice, social democracy is one of the ways, and for us it's the most efficient way in the current situation. And that's why we chose social democracy as a platform, and all the policies developed by us are based on social democracy, but because it's actually based on justice, not only in social, but justice in everywhere. So when we develop policies, our starting point is justice, our concept of justice. What is fair? Okay, that point, this is fair, that's our starting point. What should be done to reach that fair situation? And this is how we are developing our policies.
And the thing that strikes me about the Citizens' Choice Party, which you mentioned, is that many describe it as Armenia's social democratic party. And I grew up under social democracy, under Tony Blair and Gordon Brown in the UK. But social democracy, I think, in Armenia may have a different context compared to in Europe. It's really in a fledgling state, it's in an early state. So Armenia has never had a Western style or Armenian style social democratic party even enter the parliament. So how can the party explain social democracy to the voters and make it appeal to Armenian voters?
Actually, Armenia not only never had a social democratic party which ruled ever, but we also didn't have any ideological party that ever ruled. For example, the Republican Party, they are, in declaration level, they are conservatives, but their policies were more liberal. Before that was almost the same, and in general, all those ideological mix brought to oligarchy system that was before 2018. Currently, our government, Nikol Pashinyan, who declared once that currently ideologies are old-fashioned, and we are standing, saying we, he he wants, well, when I say we, I mean him and his party, not we as a nation. We are standing out of it, and sometimes the solution can be social democratic, sometimes liberal, etc. But this won't work. I can just bring one example why it wouldn't work. If you remember, once he declared that 200,000 people are working to sustain 800,000 people, and after several months, there was a suggestion to implement a public health system, public health insurance, and which is more social democratic goal. But to reach that goal, the government suggested to increase the tax for 6%, which is more socialistic approach. So when you declare yourself as out of ideologies, this is a mix that happens when your goals differ from what you declare, and your approach to reach your goals is something completely else.
And also
coming back to social democracy, I think most appealing is to just explain what really is social democracy. That everything that we do, everything that we want to reach, is based on fairness, on justice in everywhere. Is it national security? Is it health care, education? Everywhere. The first and starting point is justice.
And the party has also been described as socially liberal. Many connect it to gender equality and other minority rights, but Armenia is quite a socially conservative country in many ways. So how does the party expect to confront that as well, to bring social liberal policies to an electorate, to a people that are quite socially conservative and religious?
There can be two approaches. One is more long-term, and is based on education, not on education in the schools and universities only, but no, general educational level of all the society. And this will require time, and that would change actually those more conservative visions of Armenians. And second one is more life-based. When you implement some changes, some drastic changes that would bring that would affect really to people's life, that would make them to rethink and revalue their visions. That's the second.
And both the Prime Minister's party, the Civil Contract Party, and the Citizens' Choice Party supported the 2018 Armenian Revolution. Some believe that there are some similarities in terms of policies, but what does the party oppose about the Pashinyan government? What do you think about Pashinyan's government?
We have already talked about ideological differences, and well, ideology comes with values. What are our values and what are their values? Our values are more, first of all, justice, then freedom, and as an outcome and based as an outcome comes solidarity based on those two. Well, as I already mentioned, Pashinyan's government doesn't really have an ideological approach. Second is actually how we see our country's future. What kind of country we want to build? How do we see the relations between citizens? How do we see the relations between citizens and the state, etc. Also, we see more. We are for more drastic reforms. We still stand for a revolutionary agenda, which is kind of neglected by Pashinyan's government. Also, in general, how we see the economy of Armenia, in which direction we should try to develop. We see more environmental friendly economy, therefore more from fast money, mining, etc. That's the main differences.
And you mentioned mining. The Citizens' Choice Party has been oftentimes related to ecologism, environmentalism, and that movement in Armenia, which is growing. But the party has been known to oppose mining, or certain mining companies and stuff. But according to some statistics, mining accounts for 50% of Armenia's exports. So how does the party aim to explain that, its opposition, its ecological standpoint when it comes to mining, when many say that Armenia receives many economic benefits from the mining sector?
Mining is a perfect example of what was I saying previously. Look, during the last 30 years, all the governmental parties were for getting money fast. And they didn't even care what kind of harm it can cause to the environment, to the country, that we don't really have a base to create a self-sustainable economy. And even if we are mining now, in 20 years we won't have even that. And what would happen after, when we have a spoiled environment, we don't recultivate that areas, and we spoil and waste all the national treasure. Our approach is different. We understand that maybe even more than 50% of exports are based on mining. And this comes from the wrong policies and politics of the previous regimes. What we aim to do is to stop giving licenses for new metal mines. Second is to review the license that were given but weren't exploited yet. Third is that we need to make all the mines and the conditions more green, more environmental friendly. And we also understand that after some years, when some mines are going to be closed, those areas need new chances. Actually, let's take Kajaran as an example. Maybe 75% are working in the combinate there, and one day if it's closed, all Kajaran is going to leave it and go somewhere else to find new opportunities. Something like that happened with another city called Astghik. It's still a city, but there are even less than 100 people living there. And we understand that it's going to happen with every region that is mostly based on mining. So we need to create new opportunities so people can smoothly transfer to that workplaces, to that spheres, and the economy wouldn't collapse. And that's the third step to do, yes.
And
sorry, wanted also to mention something. In general, what is our approach? We just think that lithosphere and everything that is given us by the nature doesn't really belong to us only. It was belonging to our previous generations, and also it is for our future generations. So when we exploit it now, we need to consider it also. We need to consider also the future generations, because it's kind of, we are in debt and we just think that even if we gave licenses that to other companies that exploit our lithosphere, it should be as a service and not just taxing. Currently, they are just exploiting our lithosphere, which belongs to every one of us, but they just pay taxes. It shouldn't be taxed equally with other spheres. It should be taxed more. And actually, it should be just, the philosophy should be changed. So this is not an exploiting, but service for us, for the country.
And finally, In 2018, the Citizens' Choice Party received more than 8,000 votes, but in the 2021 elections, they received less than 4,000 votes. So why do you think this is? Why do you think this happened?
There are several factors for that. First of all, during the war and after the war, the public trust and confidence in Nikol Pashinyan really went down just immediately. And a part of society, like provengers, kind of, tried to do everything just to bring him down. And that atmosphere created a situation when people, and also it was because of the media, when people didn't really see other parties, they just, the election was about to decide, are we going to back to the previous regimes or we are staying where we are? And even if it was an election, it was an election in classical meaning. We weren't deciding our future, but we were deciding which regime is going to rule. And we, as a party, and other parties as well, we failed in explaining or to delivering the idea that it's not a choice between bad and worst, but it could be a real election for our future. You also have our maybe share of blame that we had to forecast this or predict this and not go for ideological battles, but for such a battle where actually the resources were deciding everything. This actually wasn't an election, it was a battle of resources, and we didn't have a chance there, probably.
Well, Ms. Melkonyan, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
And thank you for joining us on CivilNet.